Hey guys, what's up? Welcome back. So today we're going to talk about some stuff in the shop. Actually some cool stuff this time, not just some bunk stuff.
Just basic wear and tear items.
We've been over here working on the new shop and y'all been following along. We appreciate y'all hanging in there. It's a lot of hard work. We appreciate all your hard work. Y'all have done a good job.
Yeah, thank y'all for, hopefully you're in air conditioning and comfy when you're watching these videos.
So we got something off FedEx yesterday and we wanted to show you what we got. That was a Chris Farley kick if I ever saw one, dude. So the guys at Warren Diesel, y'all are familiar with these dudes. They helped us out last time on the RanchTang. That's where we got a whole lot of stuff last time. Our engine harness, a lot of insight on what we wanted to do, helped us with tuning. And so we came back because, well, we know that we burned up a piston in there.
Well,
we did win.
And it ran great.
It did run good and we did win.
Exactly.
But we burned up a piston in a 360, I think is 360,000 mile, completely stock 6-liter. And so this time around we told them we wanted something that we could beat on a little bit harder, and I think that's what we've got here in the box. So as far as what we're dealing with here, this is still mainly a stock rotating assembly.
Yes, I think our main upgrades are coated in D-lip pistons to help with the heat, which we have a problem with.
Lots of heat.
And then it has a stage 2 cam, so a lot more lift.
More air.
Help with air. Yep.
Yeah.
We got the fuel, thanks to these guys.
Oh yeah, 250 cc with 100% over nozzle.
I think that's correct.
Right, and with 6 liters you can basically triple the cc content, I think. Yeah. And that's what you end up with. So a couple hundred cc injectors, multiply that times a factor of, I think it's 3, something like that. Don't know, not 6.0 wizards. I can tell you and promise you we are gonna find out how well it runs, and we're gonna show you how well it runs when we get it all together. So this is kind of, we've been waiting forever. We're really kind of down to the wire. We've only got a couple of weeks left to have this car done,
and quite a bit of work.
And quite a bit of work. So as far as the rundown on what we're doing, we're gonna replace the short block. We've got our cylinder heads down at Coatser that we know have some cracks.
Yep.
We don't care.
Not enough to slow us down.
No, because this thing's just getting, just getting beat up a little bit. You know what I mean?
Bit.
Yeah.
We're gonna get like 5-mile increments.
So it's gonna show up with the proverbial black eye and one tooth loose, but it came to fight. You know what I'm saying? This is like a junkyard dog. Exactly. We're not 6.0 super lover guys, okay? We work on them. We work on all kinds of power strokes and stuff. We're Cummins guys at the end of the day, but I can tell you right now, hearing a V8 diesel scream its guts out is awesome. And I've got a little bit of newfound respect for a 6.0. I'm not gonna lie, that thing got its ass kicked, and it did drive on the trailer.
Everyone knows what happens when Matt drives anything.
Yeah.
Right? It doesn't drive on trailers.
It doesn't run anymore.
And so the fact that this was like 2 minutes on that one was 2 minutes on the red line.
Pretty impressive.
He drove it here from his house, 75 miles away.
Yeah.
So
it's like 2 minutes at 4,000 RPM, dude, with the up pipes and the turbo glowing red. It was awesome. Okay, so second part of Santa Claus in the middle of August is this kit. And this is from the dudes down at Smeding. The guys at Smeding have basically sponsored Matt for a couple of builds now. Maybe even more. These dudes have been really, really gracious and basically said, Matt, whatever you're gonna need to go shred, we wanna help you. And so we talked to Davey down there. We've known those guys for years. And gave him a call and said, look, this is what we want to do. We talked with the guys at Warren Diesel. We think we have a game plan. So we need like a T4. We wanted to run an S300. We were talking about going S400, but again, this is multiple levels of power upgrades. So we are making our way up to maximum potential at some point. This is kind of middle of the road with a 6.0. And you can see this is basically the gist of how this is going to set up in the motor. So back here you've got some TIG welded stainless steel up pipes. These look legit. Fat bellows on them right here, so they shouldn't blow out. We'll check that flange to make sure it's true, but welded inside and out. And that's a T4 foot because that's how this turbo is manufactured, is with a T4 non-gated, a little bit bigger AR because we're gonna scream RPM.
This wouldn't be the turbo necessarily you wanted to tow every day with on your F-350 that had this motor.
Yeah,
this is more hot rod. We're going for horsepower, not
dragging a trailer. Yeah, and we've got a little bitty tire. You can't see the tire on the car from here, but y'all guys know how little the tire is on that thing. It's like a 15-inch donut. So we don't really care about having the low end torque. We want all the top end power. We want it to sound good. We are going to have a little bit of trouble because we got a stock stall converter still in this thing.
We're going to need the tires to be spinning.
Yeah,
to get
so
the turbo to spool.
good idea. So if you can keep the tires spinning, then you can get on top of that turbo. This thing ought to sound awesome. These things scream. These make big power on Cummins trucks. They make big power on 6-7 power strokes. That turbo all day is a 600-700 plus horsepower turbo with
tire.
Yeah, at the tire, and it's happy to be in that range. This is their part of their turbo mount assembly. This is a billet aluminum piece. It actually fastens through the bottom into the oil drain of the center cartridge of that turbo. This piece is their intake manifold. So this is a casting of a ported 6-liter manifold, and this thing is going to flow considerably more air. We've got a bracket up here for the alternator we're going to end up chopping off, so this is actually going to look even more badass. But the intake piece has got smoother transitions. It's a larger volume internally. All these plugs right here that you see in the top, they're O-ringed plugs, straight thread O-ring, metric plugs, and you pull those out and you actually fasten the intake manifold down to the cylinder heads through the manifold with shorter fasteners, and then throw these plugs inside. So you can see right here the difference in size is pretty noticeable.
Yeah, these
right?
things are wider,
taller, better radius in almost every single way. All this other stuff, there's no provisions for anything that you don't need if you're going full race car style. You know, you can kind of see some of the differences. They cut some of the weight off of this thing, if you will. And the only thing we're really going to need off of this is
look in there at
that boost port right there for our manifold absolute pressure.
So you got that, right?
Yeah.
That looks like it flows good.
That's looking like junk. Look at that. Weird steps down in the floor of it and all this stuff. Lots of turbulence going on there. Look at here. Nah. Ain't none of that.
Full flow.
Fully.
All the way through.
So as with anything that's cast, I don't care if it's cast aluminum, cast iron, whatever, you want to go through and check for casting flash. There's very little in this thing, but we're still going to go through and clean it up. The casting flash is the stuff that's left over from the casting. You can see like on the outside of this right here, this is part of like where the sand cast, the mold shifted a little bit. So we want to double check on the inside before we put this thing together and start screaming RPM that we're not going to have some little bitty aluminum burrs that are going to fall into the motor. So we'll flip this thing over, go through it with a flashlight, knock all that stuff down if we have to. You know, basically look over everything. It looks like for the most part, this stuff is really, really clean and basically ready to assemble. So we'll check and make sure it's flat, no junk on the inside, and we'll get after it. All right, well, that's how you pull a 6.0 out. So you can see we got a big old blank hole sitting here now. Didn't mess up anything with the converter. It actually came out easier, I think, than what we anticipated it was gonna be. And if I know anything about anything, that means when it goes back in, it's gonna be a pain in the ass.
Yeah, 5 times as hard. Yeah, and we also have coils, shocks, and a front sway bar.
Okay, so then we have more stuff than I thought to do.
So,
you know, good thing we don't have a business to run or a new shop to build.
nope.
So, heck yeah, well, we got plenty of free time.
Let's get after it, bud.
So, yeah, we're just going to hang out and stuff. So, yeah, if y'all want a cold drink, go grab one, you know, pull up a lawn chair. We're just sopping up the gravy right now. All right, so we've got the front end of the motor together and we've got the back end of the motor together to the point where it's ready to go into the car. Balancer's on, all that's torqued up, new wear sleeve on the front, new front seal, the Warren diesel injection billet center oil pump, low pressure oil pump. We have the oil cooler housing. We've got the high pressure oil pump cover on the back. All of our front dress, front timing case, and all that stuff. It's all assembled, new O-rings on all of that. New rear main seal installed in the backside. Lower pan, upper piece, upper pan, the crankshaft adapter, and the flex plate. So now we're to the point where we got Big 12 over here getting ready to, you're just going to pick that up by hand, right?
Yeah, I brought this just to be in the background.
Okay, yeah. It looks good in the picture. So Steven's going to grab this by hand and set it gently into place. Hey, everyone says I talk too much, so Steven's taking a vow of silence like a monk or something, or I don't even know. Yeah, so basically what that means is quit talking because no one likes what you're saying already, Willie, and let's put the motor in. So instead of me talking, I'm now translating. God, I wonder if we'll ever be able to make anyone happy. Yeah, get jiggy with it on the river? Yeah, kinda, all right. Oh, I can have your truck. All right, I can have the Bel Air is what he said, folks. Okay. Well, I'm gonna let Steven put this in and I'm gonna hush. All right, I'm trying to do as little talking as possible. So we've got a motor and we're gonna put parts on it. Ha, you thought, but check this out. Motor's in the car. It's time to put the cylinder heads on. And the heads we had are actually in much worse shape than we let on originally. So we didn't even O-ring them because they're gonna come back off. We've got hopefully a sponsor for the next time this car comes back in for cylinder heads. And yeah, so we're out of time. It is Wednesday or Thursday, and the car has to leave Friday morning, and we have not started it. We have not put the turbo on. We have not reflashed it. We haven't done anything with the new injectors. We've done nothing. So, we got a bunch of parts overnighted. Big block coil springs for the front of the car so it doesn't sit as low. We got a sway rod that probably won't fit, so we're not banging on that going on. We have 625 studs with stock gaskets but no O-rings. We think it's going to live. If not, hey, heads are going to come back off anyway. We're thinking with the larger exhaust wheel fixed geometry turbo that it's going to flow considerably better. And honestly, if we don't get it too hot, I don't think we're going to have an issue with the head gasket. Now, will it get too hot? Will it run too ragged? Don't know. Probably. I know we're definitely going to find out, and we'll see it in all its glory in Bristol. So for right now, we're cleaning all the small parts, getting the push rods ready, head gaskets ready, cleaning the top of the block, cleaning the heads, blowing all the oil out, checking for debris, looking for all the little stupid things that would ruin your life. I got this guy running in his clod hoppers over here because he's so excited. And yeah, we're just basically excited as we can heck. Excited as heck. He refuses to talk. If I could subtract words, I would, but I have to talk to you somehow about what's happening. So I'm really sorry for talking. Back to time lapse. Okay, so the cylinder heads are on, rocker arms torqued up, heads torqued up, all the valve trains assembled, and we just got done installing our 250-100 injectors from Warren Diesel Injection. I think it's safe to say we got plenty of fuel, right?
Yeah, thank you, Warren, again. Y'all guys are the best. We love y'all.
Yeah, those dudes are awesome. They've got our back every time. Lots of information, lots of insight, lots of help. Great dudes. If you're building a power stroke of any kind, go check them out. Warren Diesel Injection. So, Steven's getting ready to stab our new intake manifold. Logan's setting the oil rail on this cylinder head. We're going to follow up by doing the same thing on this side, getting all that stuff torqued down. We've got the lower part of the standpipes installed. We're going to put the dummy plugs in and the top plugs. Those are what feed oil from the high pressure oil pump. Sits down inside the engine. Gear driven, high pressure oil comes up, feeds the rail. High pressure oil feeds the injectors. And just part of how all that system works. A lot of pieces, a lot of O-rings. So you want to make sure that you don't forget anything. Anyway, moving along. All right, guys, so we're back at it today, and we left here pretty late last night, about 10:30. We ran into nothing but problems. We missed a broken bolt in the cylinder head, and of course it was one that was buried in a really, really fun spot right here, second cylinder back, so I had to pull the inner fender liner piece. Thankfully, that thing unbolted. Pilot hole, drill it, extract it, la la la. Got fasteners last night for that intake manifold. And we had the turbo set up here earlier, kind of just mocking up, generalizing what, looking to see if we're going to have clearance issues or anything like that before we just went buck wild. And it looks like it's really, really close. It fits, the pedestal fits really, really well. But the downpipe needs to be modified. So we've got a little bit of work to do there. And basically we should be within, I don't know, maybe a few hours of maybe turning the key and seeing if it'll fire.
Yes, sir.
We got to make it run today. Car's got to leave tomorrow morning, and we got a lot of stuff left to do. In fact, we got a package coming today from some dudes that hooked it up.
We do.
And we're going to show you that here in just a little bit when it shows up on the FedEx truck. What do you got for us here today, Mr. Rogers?
I got a box pedal.
Hey, dude, dance it up for me, bro. Hey, bro, yeah, one more spin, bro. Check this out. Santa Claus came. What did he bring?
He brought us.
Oh, dude, he brought a bucket. Booyah. Snow Performance. Now, these dudes are out of Texas. We called them, told them what we needed to do, and they said, hey, we got your back. These guys are based out of Texas, so they overnighted us a kit, and we're going to use this to try to keep Matt 6-0 alive. So Steven's got the controller right now in his hand.
Somewhere over here.
Yeah, this thing is cool because you see the button 1 and button 2 on there. Let me pull it over here, Steven. I can't really focus on it. You can see that it's got 2 buttons that are on here, and you use those to navigate through it, but you also have 2 stages of water methanol that you can set up where this thing's fully automated. It has a boost reference line that runs into the cab. That's this clear hose right here. This will tie into the intake manifold for a boost reference. Then we've got a pyrometer lead on this end that'll tie into their pyro, so it has its own pyrometer and boost reference that you can set up multiple stages and start spraying when the EGTs get hot, or start spraying when you start making boost, or both, or one or the other. Yeah. It's a cool setup, and it progressively controls the duty cycle all on its own, or you can just set it up to turn on 100%. So there's a lot of adjustability in this kit, and it's really a good option for something that's going to run high EGTs like this engine's going to. So we're going to set up 2 different nozzles. One's going to be the smaller of the 2, a finer mist nozzle, just to keep this charge temperature down before it goes into the intercooler. And then whenever that air comes out, it's going to get met with another nozzle on this side that's larger, and that's going to help to disperse the water to all these cylinders. And then we haven't picked exactly the location that we're going to install this next nozzle. We don't have this tube final installed, so we could theoretically put it in the intake manifold or put it right here at the front side. What we're looking for is the most even distribution, good atomization and even distribution of water into the motor to keep the top of the pistons and the cylinder head nice and cool, because if y'all watched last time, we had all this glowing cherry red back here, and what happened was we overheated one piston and it got so big that it drug inside the bore, and it made it to where the motor needed to be rebuilt. So we don't want to do that this time, because we've got big plans for this motor. Once we go from this stage, which is stage 2, we want to go to stage 3 and possibly 4. And so we've got some really cool ideas for really leaning on this thing. So we need it to live long enough that we can come back from this next competition and potentially pull our cylinder heads, go to a different setup on the cylinder head, maybe slightly upgraded, maybe ported. We do have a camshaft in this motor, fly cut and D-lip pistons. So there's a lot going for this motor right now. It's still on stock rods. It's a stock bottom end motor, but they're pretty stout. If they're tuned right, they'll hold a decent amount of power. All right, guys. So we are installing water meth kit, right? Well, we didn't want to mount the tank in the back. It was looking terrible. So we set it up here behind the front seat, and I'll be darned if that isn't just a nice little spot for it to fit. There ain't a whole lot of room in the car anyway, and with the seat tilted back and crammed into this thing a little bit, you end up with just enough room for a second person to ride. So whoever wants to get wild and ride in here with Matt, good luck. But tank's mounted behind the seat. The pump motor is sitting here in the back corner. It doesn't matter which way you mount the pump. You can mount it upside down or right side up. The sticker's obviously sitting in upside down, but the thing is that we wanted it as low center of gravity as we could, because we didn't want to have the thing sticking up like full dweebs in the back. We wanted to hide it because it is a large tank. This fits perfect in the pickup bed of a truck, but in a little car like the RanchTang, there's just not a whole lot of room. So thankfully, we've got this thing tucked in the back. This is not flammable. This is just water, so there's no issue happening there. All the electronics portion of this is the extent of what's going to be in here. The little motor, this is fused, so is the controller, so we should be good. It's going to be 12 volt key on ignition that's fused, and then a fuse that feeds this motor. But what we're dealing with right now is trying to get this thing to look clean, and that's the hardest part of the install. There's quite a few steps to doing this, but making it clean is the tough part. So we've got to mount the number 1 solenoid in here. It's going to fire at the exact same time that the pump is told to turn on. So there'll be a solenoid sitting down here that comes directly out of the pump. When the pump turns on, the solenoid opens, fluid starts flowing. And the solenoid also acts as a shutoff so that your line stays primed from here all the way up to the motor to both the nozzles. This is one of the 2 solenoids. So it'll mount up. One leg of this goes to the pump. One leg of this goes to ground. The same thing happens with the pump back here. One leg is going to tie into the solenoid, the other one's going to go to ground. And like I said, when it triggers the very first of the 2 nozzles, pump, solenoid, fire at the same time, and then you start flowing fluid through all of your nylon hose up to the front side, up to the engine. So we're gonna come out of the firewall, run down this harness, up and in here, and we've got a T that we use. We cut about a foot, I don't know, maybe 18 inches of plastic hose off the end of this so that we could mock up what our T was gonna be. And this kit came with red tube. I think you can probably get it with black tube if you don't like the flashy red. We're just gonna run the red because we're out of time, even though we try to kind of hide as much of this stuff as possible. We're gonna run the red. So we want it to sit clean and look good. So we're thinking we're gonna set it up here on the intake just like this. This will be the supply line coming from the pump and solenoid 1. This will go over with a check valve installed to the first nozzle, and it will be unimpeded by a second solenoid. So when the pump turns on in the car, the solenoid opens in the car, that feeds fluid all the way up through the check valve, through the nozzle to the first nozzle. And that's gonna be stage 1. Then you've got a second solenoid that runs off of the green wire in the harness. The controller's in there on the floor. We'll show you that when we get to it, but there's a green wire that fires the second solenoid. And so our plan is to mount it somewhere over here on the engine, something clean, and run this tubing down and underneath because we want to spray it. We were looking around and it looks like the best shot is going to be right here, bottom dead center of the manifold, because this is a nice open, the largest open part of the plenum, and we're thinking that's going to give the best dissipation of water, and that's what we're really after. We don't want the back cylinders to starve, and we don't want the front cylinders to be flooded. So it's important to make sure that you don't have water pooling wherever you install a nozzle. So you don't want a nozzle, say right here on this edge, and it sprays and hits the edge of the pipe and then it's trickling down the edge of the pipe. You don't want it before a bend directly so that it just stacks up on that wall. That's why the primary is going to be way back here so it has time to kind of atomize, and the other one's going to be at the intake to try to disperse it evenly. So I hope that's clear as mud.
I think you're talking too much again.
I was just thinking the same thing. So back to work. Yeah. All right, guys, so we are now to the point where we are completely out of time. The truck driver said he's on his way. What, we got 30 minutes?
Yeah, maybe an hour.
We don't have any of the air bled out of the system.
No.
We can't test drive because we don't have back brakes.
And many other reasons you can't drive this on the street.
Yeah, and many other reasons. And yeah, so we're going to check the water meth and we're going to say a little prayer and then we're going to wave goodbye.
Yeah.
And then we're going to see you in Bristol.
Yeah. All right, Willie thinks he found our electrical problem. Willie, what did you find?
Is in read-only mode, bud.
Oh, dang.
Yeah, so you got to hold
got
the
it.
buttons and do a thing.
Now you got it in squirt-only mode?
It's in squirt mode.
All right. Here's our tester.
Here we go. Here comes the boost.
Squirt me.
Trying to go gentle.
Oh, look at it just squirt out of there.
All right, Logan, you didn't see anything, right?
Not yet.
Okay, so I'm gonna get to 25 PSI and you can start seeing stuff.
All right. This is the big shot.
Oh yeah.
Dang.
They're both humming along?
Yep.
Oh yeah.
All right, man. We got injection, bro. H2O.
All right. Well, now we're down to 6 minutes and the trailer will be here to load it. So,
Right on.
smile.
Well, we got a brand new tune we hadn't started. We got a lot of air, so here we go. All right, guys. So that has been.
That was Ben.
This is what happens when I don't talk on a regular basis. I get to where I just say and stuff like that.
I like it.
Yeah. I don't know if y'all like it, but I'm sure you'll comment about it. Check this out. We have a RanchTang. It is back together. And I'm going to go over a couple of things that are on this build really quickly, kind of sum up what we got, give a shout out to some of the sponsors that were on this build and the guys that really helped us the most. So I'm going to flip the camera around and let's talk about a little bit of it. Sorry guys, I have to talk for you to know. So the guys at Snow Performance, y'all saw that was the last thing we did. Those guys hooked us up and sponsored this injection kit. This is their, I believe their Tomax kit and Stage 3 Tomax kit. Yeah. So it came with like a 5-gallon reservoir that we've got sitting behind the seat. The pump, all that, it's a dark black hole, but down there's a pump and a solenoid. That all runs up via a controller. Key on power, fuse, blah, blah, blah. All that hooks up on the inside of the vehicle. It has a monitor for you to set up. It's got a boost and a pyro gauge on it, and it shows the percentage of injection rate that's happening. You can set it based off of mile per gallon or performance or on a tow mode, and it uses a 2D map based off of, it's an algorithm between EGT and boost pressure to determine what the injection pressure duty cycle is. So anyway, past all that jargon, we're running 2 nozzles. We're running a small nozzle on this side. This is a number 4 size nozzle. We wanted that really fine mist to just cool the charge down, not enough water to pull up in the intercooler. We don't know that for sure, but that's what we're gonna try. The intercooler we have is too small. Bottom line, there's not enough time to do this like you want to full perfect race car every time. So this is what we're doing. This is our Band-Aid and it's gonna work like a champion, we think. So number 4 nozzle, this is a real fine mist. This cools down the charge coming out of the turbo because as that air is compressed, it gets really heated. It comes into here to get cooled down, which it's doing a job doing that. So on the outlet side, underneath the intake manifold, is where we have the number 10 nozzle. So this is the water hose nozzle. This is the fine mist nozzle. And between the two of those, we think that we definitely know we're gonna get a couple hundred degrees where the EGT drop. Don't know if that's gonna be enough to keep it from melting the motor, but we certainly hope so. By upgrading the turbo, we have considerably more air, and with water injection between those two and this Smeding high volume intake manifold, this is very similar to a popular 6.0 manifold called an O-Dogs. Smeding makes their own version of it, and that's what's installed on here. This is also Smeding's fixed geometry turbo kit. Now this works, I believe, on S3 and S400 frames. I'm not absolutely certain, but I think so. It looks like the compressor cover is really close to clearing the manifold on this S369, but it may very well work on an S400 frame. This is an S369 billet wheel. This turbo, like in a Cummins application, I've seen some pretty ridiculous numbers out of these turbos, but in this application, this is going to be good for 600 plus to the tire. We're running a 250-100 hybrid injector. That should be good on stock oil for somewhere in the high 5s to mid 6s. We are still running a bone stock 5R110 trans, which we expect to probably have a problem.
I don't know. I think that transmission will hold up enough that if the tire grabs, it shoots the rear end out.
That's a pretty good guess because
the trans will live.
We're still running the 8.8 axle that we did very last second out of a Ford Explorer, very last second. That's the same axle, still got shapers in the back, so we've done everything we possibly could with that. We checked the ring and pinion when we had it apart. It was really clean.
You know what out of it?
Well, yeah. Well, the beep, edit that out of that. We are waiting on a few more things to show up here. We ordered some stuff from ATEC, from Summit, and when that stuff arrives, we're going to throw it in the RV with us because we are driving up to Bristol. We will see you guys there. This video should be dropping, honestly, while we're driving.
Yes.
So, yeah, back to what we were talking about sponsor-wise. So, the guys Warren Diesel Injection. They look like that right there. WDI, Warren Diesel Injection. Cannot.
We heart them.
100%. These dudes have had our back the whole time. We are not 6.0 wizards.
We are now.
I can tell you that I found a new respect for a 6.0, right?
For sure.
There's a dude here in the shop. We give him a hard time all the time because he's a 6.0 guy. And he's been kind of giving us a hard time because listening to this thing zing and rev up with a fixed geometry turbo and some real fuel, the thing's bad. It sounds real good. And hopefully y'all guys are there to hear it in Bristol. Hopefully we have a really good pull up there. Hopefully we come home with a complete engine. I don't care if the rear axle blows up, the transmission grenades, as long as Matt's okay and the engine's okay, anything else can go wrong with the car. We also don't want an electrical fire, and we don't want a drive shaft to come out.
Yeah, and we're looking to get 35 to 40 miles to the gallon while that's happening.
Yeah, so we're really going for fuel efficiency at the same time.
100%.
So, yeah, I think we've covered the sponsors. I'm brain dead,
We
okay?
will see y'all in Bristol.
I'm brain dead, and so is this guy. So we're just trying to make it through this without talking, and I've already talked for 10 minutes. So you're going to have to forgive me. Go ahead and like and comment, subscribe below, and
Alrighty then.
yeah, get ready
Here we go.
to see this car in Bristol.
Let's go.
That's like Tennessee, Virginia area. Google it. See you later. Bye.